What up, what up? This is the Crypto Cheat Sheet Live, where we get together every week to discuss the latest in crypto. We break it down so you don't have to. It's March the 21st, 2018. I'm here with Trey, the Crypto King. What's up,
That
Trey?
was.
How's your week?
What's up, Griff? Week's going well. After Sunday, we saw a miracle close there, so things are certainly looking up.
Yes, they are. So we're gonna hit a couple things this week. We're gonna touch on the Lightning Main Net Launch. We're gonna touch on some Trump and his sanctions against Venezuela's crypto. We're gonna talk about Peter Thiel, CryptoKitties, and try to tie it all together for you guys for this week. So let's kick it off. First piece of news from the week is the Lightning mainnet release for LND. So this is Lightning Labs' Lightning implementation. This is their fourth release, and this one is the first release where they've included and made it easy for to use it with mainnet. So most of, if not all of the implementations of Lightning Network thus far have all been they've all had big disclaimers. Just use this on the test net. Don't use real money with this. And now we've got our first release that says, "Hey, this is ready to go. We're ready for mainnet." What do you think about this one, Trey?
We've heard about the Lightning Network for years, and I'd be lying if I pretended like I truly understood it. But what we saw with SegWit last year around the same time when it finally got adopted and got consensus to be put into the Bitcoin main client, that was the precursor for Lightning Network. And we've seen over the past year this huge scaling debate, and the people I trust in the space have said, second layer scaling is where we need to be scaling. And so now that we've got SegWit, we've got Lightning. These are two major advancements in the Bitcoin technology. So I saw someone tweet the other day, last year everyone couldn't wait to throw money into this tech that was still being built, and now that it's built, seeing people running away from it like it's on fire. And it's pretty amusing because the level at which the Bitcoin technology is moving forward is so much faster now than it's been at any point since we've been in Bitcoin. So huge accomplishment here.
Yeah, this is a big deal, right? Back in December, we saw kind of crypto hit the cap. Like Bitcoin hit its cap on the number of transactions that it could do on a 10-minute basis for each block. We were pegging full blocks. There was a lot of arguments about how do we scale this, and this is the answer. Everyone fought to get SegWit implemented, and really, it was so that you could implement something like Lightning Network, and now it's here. Now, they do caveat this implementation, and they say, this is really just for developers and for people that are more experienced. It's all command line, so this isn't mainstream production ready per se, but it's a step, right? You have to start somewhere, and this is it. So basically what this does is it takes a lot of that transaction volume and it moves it off chain. And so that in theory should free up a lot of the bandwidth that otherwise would have had to have been on chain. It's kind of similar. This analogy has been thrown around. It's kind of like TCP/IP, where you initiate a connection with another computer through TCP/IP. It's what allows the internet to happen. It allows me to view web pages. It allows us to stream this video right now and talk over Google Hangouts. And so you create a handshake, you create this connection with other people, and you can now stream money, and that's what it allows. And so it's really cool technology. I think we'll probably do a deeper dive, separate episode on a little bit more of the the technical aspects of it, because it's really interesting how it works. But it's kind of like, if you think of it like, if you and I had kind of like a running tally with each other. So like, we went out, we had some beers, you bought a couple beers, you paid for mine, so I owed you $20. And then the next time we went out, I bought you one beer back, and so I only owed you $15. And so you could settle the $15 and only have, one transaction, versus having one $20 transaction and then another $5 transaction, if that makes any sense. And so where I think it's going to really have an impact is in like high volume and high throughput connections between like exchanges. Like if you think about like a Coinbase to Bittrex, if they could have a Lightning Network channel open between the two, they can pass a lot of Bitcoin back and forth, and only settle it, one 1/1000th of the time than they normally would. And so it makes a big difference in the number of transactions that you have to propagate on the network.
Yeah, to your point about the TCP/IP comparison, I've seen some people talking about, like, back in the advent of the internet, there was all this talk about, well, this can't work because of this, and this can't work, and it's key to understand we're really early in this technology, and it's not commercial use ready. If I had to tell my grandparents to set up a Lightning node, they're not gonna be able to do it currently.
Ain't happening.
No, but we're seeing the infrastructure be laid to where now developers can go build on top of it and build nice, pretty GUIs on top of it, and create stuff that we won't have to type in public keys to send money back and forth and all this stuff. So this is all working towards a bigger picture. It would be like if we stopped at command line for navigating the internet. Like, that clearly wasn't the end goal, but for a while there, you did have to use command line when you were like really early on, and
you put the disk in and you have to type in the command to start it. We're barely past that.
Yeah, and it's cool to watch. We weren't as involved in the .com boom, obviously, and certainly not around when TCP/IP was being created and the internet was there. But seeing some of these parallels drawn is certainly pretty cool. And one of the things I think is really cool about Lightning Network, and the fact that it's second layer, it's setting precedent now for any future technology enhancements for the Bitcoin Core client is now going to most likely be done second layer. And where there is value in that is, let's say Lightning Network completely flops and it's terrible and it just doesn't work. It does not affect Bitcoin's core layer one bit, because it is a side chain. It is a second layer scaling solution that accomplishes the purpose without risking the security of the network.
Yeah, exactly. It allows you to maintain that solid base layer code. And that's what you want. It's what you want to see. You want to see, developers moving up the stack and starting to build out, this implementation will allow people to start building apps on top of Lightning Network. And I think that's what you're starting to see. If you go to this next article here, it talked about the people and VC firms that invested in Lightning Labs. And I think you actually made a comment about this, or quoted a tweet that was like, this $2.5 million that they raised from Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, Square CEO as well, Charlie Lee, David Sachs, like, these are big names, but that $2.5 million goes further than $100 million ICO that you raised, to just giving you credibility and connections in the space. Well, what was that quote?
I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it was just cool that something like Lightning Network could have gone out and probably raised anywhere from 500 million to $1 billion, and
Yeah,
just
easy.
similar to any of these other massive ICOs. And they instead chose to get the money they needed to get to where they needed to go, and they did it in a very strategic fashion. Jack Dorsey, like Charlie Lee, these guys who are instrumental in helping to move the technology forward and, um, bring the space full circle. Like, before too long, what say Twitter, which those that don't know, Jack Dorsey founded Twitter and Square, and say that Twitter decides you want to be able to send money back and forth between accounts on Twitter. Well, that was a very strategic thing. I think that's probably um, trying to read through the lines a tad too much to say that, but like the fact that he's behind this, and they're trying to create an ecosystem of, we'll take money from people that we know down the road are going to be beneficial and useful to what we're trying to do. We don't need to raise $100 million and ride off into the sunset for this. We only needed $2.5 million. So
Yeah, that's plenty. Pay the
yeah,
people that have been working on it and keep moving forward.
so I
Makes a
thought it
lot
was
of
pretty
sense.
cool.
Yeah. And they're not the only team that's working on, Lightning implementations. So there should be, you know, several others. I know Blockstream's got one. They were pretty publicly, involved in the beginning with their swag store that they put up. So it's moving forward. It's really good to see.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey. I think let's swing over and talk a little Peter Thiel and his public comments while we're talking big names in the space. Peter, also, he co-founded PayPal. He's also got his new company Palantir, which is a big data analytics company that provides information to the government. He's been kind of publicly bullish Bitcoin for a while. It's interesting to see his views on it because they've made some pretty big bets. And he kind of views it as, his quote here is, it's sort of a hedge against the whole world falling apart. And it's kind of a fair assessment, right? If everything kind of shits the bed, you gotta go back to something. And so you've got gold and you've got Bitcoin. These are things that are scarce, and have these really good qualities of money. And so it's interesting to see his comments about Bitcoin in general.
Yeah, I think we've seen over the years people looking at Bitcoin as like a doomsday hedge. And the truth of the matter is, if there's a doomsday, I don't know that there's necessarily a hedge for it. But the fact that Bitcoin is so scarce and has very similar qualities to gold outside of the tangibility, the difference that Bitcoin has in its favor is being able to be transmitted back and forth. And I mean, let's just say you had $100 million of Bitcoin, you could carry that in your pocket. Good luck carrying $100 million worth of gold in your pocket. So, people are starting to look at Bitcoin, and these guys, like, I mean, Peter Thiel is as sharp as it gets in the world. And, if he is this bullish on Bitcoin, it's really difficult to look at this and be like, nope, it's not going anywhere. And, the majority of the people you run into playing golf or at work or anything, all they want to tell you is how worthless Bitcoin is. There's no substance behind it. Well, I'd contend that Peter Thiel is a tad bit smarter than most of those guys who read an article on CNBC, and they're experts now. So.
Oh man, yeah, that's true. We can move into some crazy news if you want. I think the last two stories we have queued up are definitely on the crazy end of the spectrum. So first off, let's talk Trump and his ban of the Petro, which is this ridiculous Venezuela ICO that's supposed to be pegged to like barrels of oil. I mean, this is one of those that came out and you were like, well, this is obviously a scam.
Yeah. And a scam propagated by a a national government too.
And so, it was really funny. I think we were chatting in the Telegram, and Bitcoin's making this nice run, and we're everybody's happy, and then all of a sudden this ban comes out, and it immediately dumps back down. But like, are we crazy here? Like, this is a non-issue, right?
Yeah, I don't see how it has any impact. I mean, I don't know a single person who's put a cent towards this. And I mean, you're looking at a country who's experiencing just insane inflation. And all this with that inflation, let me back up. They've been sanctioned by, international governing bodies as well because of the devaluation of their currency. And so this more or less for them was a way to try and raise some money, and B, try and circumvent the sanctions that were imposed upon them. So when this came out, I think it was only a matter of time until international governing bodies basically said, this does not work.
No, you're not going to do this.
No. And, with the Bitcoin market, there's enough people who know nothing about it, and they see a headline that's negative, may or may not have anything to do with Bitcoin. And so, hey, let's dump. So, the price moved down a little bit, but it
bounced
basically
back
recovered immediately. And, I think Trump is, Trump in the U.S. and any other governing body in the world is also saying Venezuela's crypto is completely worthless and it's not internationally recognized.
Yeah, agreed.
So, basically non-event.
Yeah. Another event, this came out today. CryptoKitties got $12 million from Andreessen Horowitz and Union Square Ventures. So kind of surprising.
Yeah, a little background on this for those that don't know. CryptoKitties came out late last year. It was ERC20 token where you could basically, I guess, buy and breed digital kittens. And as foolish as it sounds, people jumped all over this. We're buying kittens and breeding their kittens. And it basically got up to where it was like 12 to 15% of the Ethereum network that it was using transaction wise. And
I lost some money on some kitties.
Oh, I never bought any.
I had
kitties,
to try it. I had to at least see how it worked. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it got to the point it had broken the Ethereum network so bad that it was super expensive because the gas prices to breed and then to put your kitty up for sale were just absurd. So it didn't it basically made 0 sense to actually do it. But it was kind of fun to just be a part of at the time. But
yeah, and I think it shows. We look back at some of these technologies that have come out, and I'm not trying to group CryptoKitties with this, but Twitter and Snapchat when they came out, I was like, man, those are worthless. I use Twitter all day, every day now.
Yeah, that's true.
Snapchat, I haven't gotten as involved, but it's crazy what people latch on to, and the people that funded this. I mean, this is the who's who of VCs in the crypto space. And I saw a tweet from I think Barry Silbert talking about, because his group was one of the groups that put money in, and they're basically talking about, look, the future is gaming and online and VR and all this stuff, and apparently this has enough hallmarks of that where they think they can put in money and potentially make a good bit off of it. And
yeah, I mean, they did a really nice job with it. I mean, it was well thought out, well designed. It had that addictive quality to it where you started doing it and you're like, ooh, yeah, and then you dive in and you start to learn about these traits and what's rare and what's common and what's actually worth something. And before you know it, you spend all this time and you're like, it's pointless. It's just a game, but it's really neat. It was a really good implementation and showcase of what you can do on a platform like Ethereum. But it also showcased the biggest limitation, which is the scaling aspect. It's just
sure.
I don't know how you're going to support CryptoKitties and Augur and Golem and
20,000 other
20,000 other dApps. If basically CryptoKitties by itself broke Ethereum. So And
Yeah,
I think
it's fascinating to watch stuff like this. I mean, again, I know nothing about CryptoKitties, but we've seen over the years on our phones these random games that are completely pointless, but you download them, and all of a sudden, a month later, you're like, I have wasted way too much of my life playing this game. And CryptoKitties is what I would imagine
it,
is the first iteration of. I can't even imagine how many of these built on a blockchain, and because blockchains have tokens, they have this built-in payment mechanism back and forth that is pretty fascinating when you look at what has become a big thing as far as developing apps.
yeah, it's cool. It's very cool. So check out CryptoKitties. They're probably a lot cheaper now than when I was messing with it, but I got some I can sell you if you want to. Hit me up. I think that'll do it for this show. Visit our website, thecryptocheatsheet.com. Follow us on Twitter at thecryptocs. And if you can, support our partner, Moonware. We sell crypto gear, cool hats, shirts, hoodies. That's mewnwear.com. Peace.